in crime over here figure out the last person to ask this question. It's too much pressure for me.
Well, it's absolutely no pressure for me. The rule was stated: women, men, women, men. And it's only right that we let a woman end it. I'm sorry, man, I can't. I have to let a woman go. Oh, is that okay with you? All right, what's your question, man?
All right, so my question is, so one of the things that's not touched a lot when we talk about like prison is like how a lot of it starts from school. So for example, like I'm from Boston, and like I'm originally from Haiti as well. And I was thinking the other day how a lot of my closest friends are either either dead or locked up right now. Like one of my closest friends from high school, he's locked up, and a lot of that started in school. Like even in schools, like you come into school every day. There's a security guard there. Like you're getting suspended all the time for little things, and like all that starts from school, and you almost feel hopeless all the time. Like what is happening to solve these problems? You know what I'm saying?
So that's a 1 tier, and we'll take the 2 tier. I'll answer one, Jay answer one, and we'll be done.
I actually think my question pairs well with the question. I see that I think that the programs that are in school right now, there's the tech. I saw Andy's piece on the tech incubator in the prison system, and that's beautiful. But obviously, that's a reactionary, call to action. So if we start at the beginning, what kind of programs can we put into place? I was talking with a friend who's actually building curriculum for New Orleans School District, and I said I would love to see. I actually think when you're born in this country, you kind of need a pamphlet that says this is how you don't end up in jail. Because it's literally like every turn, a parking ticket or whatever. And I just wonder, what age is it appropriate for us to start having these conversations? Because we're training ourselves in this context. We're creating this context from the time that we're 3 or 4 years old. So, I think his thought was high school, but I think maybe even earlier than that, because we're forming habits earlier.
Yeah, to your point, I was speaking about this earlier, and I keep saying it starts with the genesis. From the time that I learned to put my hand against my heart, and I learned to make an oath, I should be learning every part of an institution. And I should be learning how to protect myself in this situation. So 2 things that are going on. I feel that the congressmen, the senators, the mayors that are in your towns. Like, did you say Boston? So Boston, let me guess, is it Mattapan? How did I know it was Mattapan?
I don't know, that was good.
The reason I know it's Mattapan is because Mattapan is one of those areas that they cut the budget from public schools, from music, from sports, and then they leave and they suck these kids out. So what's going on is New Orleans, you see the same thing. So once again, I think that, and then so when these kids are young, they're growing up. No one is saying, dude, your senator is going to be the one representing you in Washington to be able to make sure that you get the money from the school. No one is saying these things. So I think that we have to start educating the youth from a very young age so they understand what a Democrat is, what a Republican is, what an independent is, what are the laws that you have as a citizen. I think we have to start doing that.
Systems, or do you think that that's something that we need to create on an outside? Because
I do believe it comes from y'all, because the brains is y'all. Like, the tech is what controls the world. Every form of information, every form of innovation, it comes from us. And then when you say tech, I'm not thinking like just nerd, because I'm a nerd. But at the same time, I'm thinking culture. I'm thinking art. I'm thinking Asiatic. It all plays together. I'm going to leave it to my brother.
Yeah, I would say that information is the most important thing right now. The good news is that the people who are on the right side of this issue are the smarter people, right? And that's just the way it is. And so we have the power to be able to make that influence. And it starts, and some of the people here will figure out new ways of getting that information out there. For me, I use my Instagram, and it's been very effective. And I always plug it for that reason. I'm at It's Jason Flom if you want to follow me. But the other thing is, like, there's things like the Marshall Project. Does anybody know what the Marshall Project is? Marshall Project is incredible. It's a newsletter. It won a Pulitzer Prize last year. And basically every day, 5 days a week, they compile the most important stories from around the country in criminal justice and stuff that will blow your fucking mind. It's like And it's so important because these are stories that are not told, that people don't know about, that they need to know about. And some of the people here can help. But first, learn about the Marshall Project. You know, I post that stuff, they post it, and then let's find new ways together to get the word out there, because when people do find out, they're outraged. And look at how the Laquan McDonald case, that changed the whole thing in Chicago. It got the prosecutor thrown out, right? The Tamir Rice case, the same thing. These things, the Michael Brown thing, that wasn't even about Michael Brown. It was about the constant harassment of the citizens of Ferguson by the police and locking people up for mowing their lawn the wrong way. They were locking people up for walking down the street without identification, walking while black. You know, it's like, and that's what led to the riots. But it's changed. The time has come and it's changed. And there's this new age of activism, and there's this new age in tech where we can get those messages out there, and it will cause the change that we need, and we'll eventually start treating our people like people, which is what I'm in favor of. Do we have one last one? Was it what were we at? We did a man. We need a transgender just to wrap it up. You know what I mean? Because we're politically correct up in here. Okay, we got. Who's got a desperate? No, this guy definitely got something to say. Hold on a second.
And it's over. Nope, we're back. From personal experience of tragedy, I wanted to know your guys' opinion on what sort of incentive can tech companies, what sort of incentives, in your opinion, can tech companies hold to reach back out to the community that we were speaking of and give back? The gentleman said that there's a lot of red tape for companies to hire ex-prisoners. I myself, being an ex-prisoner and now running a technology company, would like to figure out a way to what incentive can I have to reach back out to the community? Of course, to help the people that were incarcerated, to lift my fellow brother up, but I think there should be a tangible incentive that as a tech community we can prize and say, this is the value of reaching back into our community, right? We've got enough investors to make our financial dreams, right, you know, where they need to go, but I'm just interested in your perspective on what kind of thing can the community as a whole places our own incentive to go reach back out. And I think something in me just says it's a little deeper than philanthropy. You know, like, I love philanthropy and helping people, but some reason that doesn't get everybody off the couch. So that would be my question. From your perspective, what kind of incentive can the tech community itself place on our own hearts, pocketbooks, boardrooms to make sure that